Good morning, friends. Thanks for being here this morning. Let's take just a moment to gather our breath. You are participating in Journey Home Meditation's morning sit. This is a morning practice of conscious breathing, which is to say, breathing and knowing we are breathing. And all that unfolds from that. We also work through some meditative practices, some contemplation, and poetry. I think that if there is a spiritual language, it must be poetry. So I'm Michael, and I'm very happy to be here today. This chanting that you're hearing in the background of the recitation of the word Om, it is a lovely tool that we can use to pace our breath. So when you hear the chanting of the Om come to an end, this is a great time to begin to breathe in through the nose to the bottom of the belly, but until you hear the Om begin again. So breathe in. And release. Breathing in. And release. Breathing in. And release. Continue breathing in this pattern and in this rhythm if you can. If you're having a difficult time matching that pace, find the pace that works for you. And when you're breathing, start to pay attention to how the body is reacting to that in-breath and that out-breath. Do you feel tension? Are you sitting with some anxiety about not having enough time to breathe in, or not getting enough breath in or out? Listen to those voices and make small adjustments in the posture of your body as well as the rhythmic patterns of your breath. But also, listen to those voices not as something that needs to be fixed or changed, but as a voice of something that wants to be heard. What is the fear that you may be holding on to? What is the anxiety? Do you have feelings of scarcity today, or are you having a difficult time letting go of that breath? Which could mean you're having a difficult time letting go of an emotional stuckness or an intense feeling. Sometimes intense feelings themselves are just hard to release. Feelings of injustice, anger, resentment, fear, upset. These difficult emotions, when they start to find a foothold, sometimes they're hard to get out the door. But if we remember that we aren't here to fix those emotions, but to experience them and understand how this is also a part of my experience, it can be helpful. This is not to say that the feelings that you have are invalid or are somehow worth less in comparison to feelings of positivity, not a bit. In fact, this is a practice of equanimity, finding that balance of understanding its place. Because in understanding the place of the things that we have difficulty with, we also understand that we have a place, even when we feel difficult. So, breathing in and out. And in and out. In I find that the more I practice, the more regularly I keep this practice, and the deeper I take this practice, the more I am falling in love with my own body. The more I fall in love with the feeling of my breath. So much so that sometimes I have to be mindful not to be stuck in that place of pure bliss when I'm breathing. Pardon me. And I say that because, like anything else, this is a method. The practice that we're sharing together here is a method. That means it's a technology that we've developed with our bodies over time, over thousands and thousands and thousands of generations, that we can utilize this as a tool to get into a state of calm and openness within ourselves. This is a tool for opening. But unlike a pry bar, something that's prying us open, this is sort of just letting the lid off a little bit, to use a metaphor that maybe is not even the best metaphor. I don't know. But in that, sometimes we can get wrapped up in methods as being the way of being. You could do all of the yoga asanas in existence. You could spend 12 hours a day shifting from one yoga pose to another, and you would only eventually end up being really good at yoga poses, but having very little capacity for the union of everything that you are. Because in the method is the introduction to pieces of us, not the whole, not the entirety. And the reason we practice this is to not forget that this is part of who I am as well. That while I am moving through my day, sometimes like a cannonball, just this object floating through, knocking things out of its way, I am also of the nature to have calm. I am also of the nature to feel empathy. I'm also of the nature to feel pain and sadness and sorrow and love and joy. And I am of the nature to experience this vast array of beingness. This is a daily reminder that I am not one thing. And in that reminder, I remember that you are not this one thing that I think you are. And then it goes from there out. Every interaction is based in my relationship with myself and my relationship to you, the one in front of me. And from those two relationships, it extends on, and then it comes back. It's like echolocation, what we think and feel and put out in the world about things that aren't in front of us comes back to the way that I relate to who is in front of me and who is inside of me, this piece of me. So often I, in the work that I do, am in relationship with people who are really suffering loss of connection. A lot of people that I know, especially young people who have an identity of queerness of some sort, something that's not the standard normalized way of being. They are often rejected by their family for their being different. And it's as if their difference is somehow a failure of the parents to give all of their values to this person. But values and identity are not the same thing. And people spend their entire lives being rejected and abandoned by those who are meant to care for them because they are a little different than them. And I think that learning these practices is a way that I can understand where I too am behaving in those ways, the ways of the parents who reject their children, the brothers who reject their siblings, the sisters who reject their siblings. I too have that capacity to do that, and so I need to use a practice to bring me into a bit of equanimity. Right? Use a practice, a tool, a method, something that I can go to when I need to exercise a part of myself to strengthen it. So I choose each day to find a practice of compassion so that I can love every part of me, even the parts that I carry shame with, or embarrassment, or fear around, the rageful parts of me, the angry parts of me, the greedy, narcissistic parts of me. These things that live in thoughts and maybe are repressed and pushed down in our bodies because we don't want to cause harm, but we feel an urge to fight back sometimes or to lash out. I think that all of us hold these, at least the possibility of these inside of our bodies at some point. So I use this practice as a way to come into my body and do so lovingly and meet those feelings and these thoughts in a way that invites tenderness. Because the part of me that's angry or sad about when I was a child and someone who was close to me made me feel unwelcome or unacceptable, that part of me doesn't need me to justify its anger or its rage. Its anger and its rage is there. It's understandable. But that part of me, what it really needs is someone to say to you, you are loving and loved. You are acceptable and accepted. The pain that that person put onto you was their pain. It doesn't have to be yours. And this is an invitation to forgiveness, and this is an invitation into reframing the way that we heal and hold the parts of us. And then when I meet those parts of me in other people, the echolocation, right? The sound goes out and it bounces back from those in closest proximity. When I meet those parts of me somewhere else, I can remember how to love them. So, in a world that I see happening in different places, and I experience people who are in great distress right now because of the things that they see happening in our world. I think that practicing my ability to love even the things that I'm afraid of is important. But this doesn't mean that I approve of people who cause harm or actions that cause harm. It means that I must stand up against them. I have to. I have to make a stand to denounce these things that we do that cause harm to one another. And maybe more importantly, I need to be the option of love. So I read a poem this morning. Um, one of my favorite teachers is Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese Buddhist teacher, Zen Buddhist teacher, who had spent most of his life being, being excommunicated, being banned from returning to his home country in Vietnam because the governments there saw him as an ideological threat and a threat to national security because he was teaching peace and forgiveness and kindness. And he had to leave his home at a young age during the wars in Vietnam at that time. And he spent his life, most of his life, being excommunicated from there. And he was able to return later in life. But in that interim, he'd become a teacher of peace and kindness, and he wrote poems. And so this is one of his poems. And when I read this, I want to say that what was in my heart when I first read it and what's in my heart right now are the people of Gaza, but not just the people of Gaza, the people of Israel, the people of Ukraine, the people of Russia, the people of Syria, the people of Lebanon, all of the people, those who I know, those who I don't know, those whose names I hear, those whose names I'll never hear, is in my heart when I read this poem. It's called Condemnation. Listen to this. Yesterday, 6 Viet Cong came through my village, and because of this, the village was bombed. Every soul was killed. When I returned to the village the next day, there was nothing but clouds of dust. The pagoda without roof or altar, only the foundations of houses, the bamboo thickets burned away. Here, in the presence of the undisturbed stars, in the invisible presence of all people still alive on earth, let me raise my voice to denounce this dreadful war, this murder of brothers by brothers. Whoever is listening, be my witness. I cannot accept this war. I never could. I never will. I must say this 1,000 times before I am killed. I am like the bird who dies for the sake of its mate, dripping blood from its broken beak and crying out, beware. Turn around and face your real enemies. Ambition, violence, hatred, and greed. Humans are not our enemies, even those called Viet Cong. If we kill our brothers and sisters, what will we have left? With whom then shall we live? I don't know if there's an answer in there of any sort, but again, these are methods. These are invitations to a practice for whatever it is you're looking to do. You can spend your day practicing your anger. You can spend your day practicing your otherness. You can spend your days practicing gossip or separation or whatever it is that you want to become. You practice this. And with that knowledge that I'm always practicing something, I had to make a conscious shift in my body and in my mind to take back these ways I see myself from the harmful things that have happened to me and the harmful people in my life. I had to take back my ability to practice love and kindness. because there are many teachers out there who are teaching me and teaching you unkindness. Many teachers teaching, I don't care. Nobody cares. But you can make a conscious effort to begin a practice of intentional kindness, of conscious caring, and of compassionate presence. And this is something we have to do every day. Because the alternative is we allow the voices that we've been trained to hear practice for us every day. The voices of self-criticism, the voices of fear of failure, the voices of non-belonging. We can allow those voices to run on repeat and do their practice every day. So this is a method to step in and interrupt those processes and introduce an invitation to something deeper. So thank you for being here. Let's have a few moments together in meditative silence. I'll invite the bell. Okay. Sometimes sometimes there's a heaviness there. When we open up our self to really experiencing all of the wholeness of the experience, sometimes it's heavy. It's not necessarily negative or uncomfortable even, it's just heavy. Sometimes we carry heavy things. And there's a famous saying that comes from the world of Buddhism, chop wood, carry water. This is a teaching that says, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And this is essentially saying enlightenment is not an end product goal, and it's not a place of stasis, and it's not an escape. I don't even know if it happens. I don't even know. But I do know that I need wood for my hearth fire to warm my home, and I need water for my family. So chop wood, carry water. Do the things that you need to do to maintain the health and well-being of yourself and those around you. No matter what. No matter how much you think you know more or differently, that doesn't matter. And I like that. I like that reminder that it doesn't matter, that the equanimous nature of having a body that will get old and a body that will get sick and a body that will die, and that every other person I've ever met is in that same predicament. That's pretty good. So when I scroll through social media, I remember that. I try to remember that. When I just want to scream, you idiot, to somebody. I need to remember that I've got wood to chop and water to carry. Is telling someone they're an idiot chopping wood and carrying water, meaning is it providing the things that are needed to sustain healthy lives? Is it what is needed to promote wellness within my heart and my body and my family and my community? Is the most important thing right now to be right? Or is it to do right? I wonder. Because my nervous system sometimes insists that I have to be right. Because if I'm not right, then I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, then I am rejectable. Then I'm stupid. Then I'm an idiot. So then I can't be the wrong one, right? So my nervous system thinks that it's life or death, and that all of my relationships from here on out till the end of time are dependent upon me being right on the internet. Someone's wrong on the internet, dear. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. There's a question in the chat. Angela's asking, is it a part of loving everybody? I think so. I think that part of loving everybody means recognizing that we're in the same predicament. Love in this understanding is all of the ways that we are connected, seeing and recognizing and strengthening the ways that we are connected. Love is connection, because love is safety, love is security, love is health, wellness, and growth. When a baby is born, it has needs. It can't meet most of its own needs. Pretty much the only need that a baby can meet on its own is air, is breath. And the most holiest of needs, right? The spiritus. That's the Latin word for breath, and it's also the word where we get spirit from. It's the thing that a baby can do. But other than that, things need to be done for the baby. It needs shelter, clothing, food, water. It needs to be held. It needs to be treated with kindness. It needs to have someone holding it against their body and giving it presence and love. And it needs to be comforted when it's upset. It needs to be engaged in conversation with eye contact, and needs to have attention paid to it. This is every single human you've ever met is born with those needs. Love is meeting those needs. So love is a need. Needs are non-negotiable. Of course, babies become children. Children have experiences. Children become adults. Adults carry those experiences for the rest of their lives. And depending on how those needs were met, that's going to make the difference in how that adult learns how to meet their needs. So if they grew up struggling to feel love, to feel kindness, to feel touch and affection, then they're going to believe that love is something you have to fight to get. And that means it's scarce. So they're going to treat love with scarcity. So it's a resource to fight over. So only some people can get love. You have to earn it. And this is how I see most adults treating love and kindness and compassion as if it's a finite resource, because they were raised in a world where it was very scarce for them. So yes, this is part of loving everybody. And it's hard to love somebody who never learned how to love. It's difficult. It's difficult to love somebody who never learned how to receive love. It's difficult. But you can do difficult things with practice. And sometimes we flounder. Sometimes we fail. Sometimes I unleash a barrage of, insults when I am out of my practice. I fight and I call people idiots in my mind and sometimes on my Facebook feed. But that's also part of loving everybody, is to recognize that I too am fallible. I too am of the nature to fail. So we need to be there for each other and hold each other up when one of us is struggling to do the loving, kind thing. We provide them with extra loving kindness. Say, hey, you seem to be running low on your compassion right now. I'm going to give you extra compassion. Not punishment, not othering and outing someone from the community. It doesn't seem to work. I've tried it in the past. I've tried volleying for punishment or excommunication of somebody who wasn't satisfactory in my view of loving the world, and it didn't work. Funny thing is, it just perpetuated more division, hatred, fear, anger, and feelings of being unacceptable. It didn't fix a thing. If I thought for a second, if for any moment punishment and fear and violence worked to get rid of the things from this world that cause us harm, then we would have the most peaceful society on the planet, because up to this point we've had the most violent societies ever seen. Humans have been violent for so long that it's clear that violence doesn't stop the perpetuation of the problems. But perhaps trying something different today is what we need to do. Thanks for asking that question, Angela. Bethany is asking, or not asking, Bethany is saying, teaching us, helping us. When I start calling people names in my head, I try to remind myself it's because of my lack of understanding, not them. Yeah. We label things to understand them, right? That's why the junk drawer is this this bottomless pit where occasionally we will brave the depths of the junk drawer to find a 9-volt battery, because who uses those anymore? But otherwise, everything else has its place and its label. We can label things. We label things to understand them. So when we don't understand someone, we label them idiot. We label them queer. We label them some sort of other. We label them enemy because we don't understand how to accommodate that. And most often, Bethany, I agree that I don't know how to accommodate the narcissism of a Donald Trump because I don't know how to accommodate my narcissistic behaviors. I don't know what to do for them. The feelings and the thoughts that I have that are selfish and self-centered and careless. When I have those feelings come up in me or those desires, I don't know where they come from and I don't know how to appease them, so I don't know how to accommodate them. And so I repress and suppress, and then I get angry at everyone else who has them. So, yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great insight into why it is we do that. Why one of the reasons might be that we try to label someone, calling them names. And most often it's not even about understanding them. You know, you said it's because of my lack of understanding. It's not because of them. It's my inability to understand myself and my feelings. So thanks for sharing that, Bethany. Okay, friends. I think that we're going to hold off on bell hooks magic for the day. We have been here for a bit of time this morning, and I want to be mindful of that and the other commitments that I have in my morning. But thank you for being here, and thank you for contributing in the chat today. Don't forget to tag friends in these live streams and share them on your socials, like and follow, and all of the ways to engage. The more engagement that we have with one another, the more our understandings of ourselves and each other are going to grow. And then the method gets larger. The methods that we use, the tools at our disposal get more plentiful. So, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of making that happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.